So now a very important rule that you're going to use throughout all of calculus is something called the power rule. So the power rule mathematically says, says that the derivative d over dx is how you write the derivative of f of x, a function. Let's call the function x to the n. So it's a polynomial. Or in this case, it could just be x cubed, x to the 4th, x to the 20th, anything. Equals, the exponent comes down, so it'll be n times x. Then you subtract 1 from the exponent. So x to the n minus 1. Okay? This is very important. You don't need to think about this formula every time you're using it. You can kind of just think of, like here, the exponent's hopping down, and then you're subtracting 1 off of the exponent. Right? Okay. And another property of derivatives is that if you're adding two things, like let's say you had x cubed plus x, and you wanted to take the derivative, you would take the derivative of x cubed and then separately the derivative of x. So the exponent would hop down. You'd have 3x to the power of 3 minus 1, which is 2, 3x squared, plus, if we think of x as x to the 1, then the 1 hops down. It's 1 times x, so that's just x, and then 1 minus 1 is 0, so then it's x to the 0, which is 1. So 3x plus 1, and this is the derivative of that. And then another property is that if you multiply the derivative of something times a constant, is you can just take the derivative and move it outside. So if you had 3x cubed, you can ignore this 3 when you're taking the derivative, and then just take the derivative of x cubed. So 3, and then 3x squared, like we did earlier. And then you take away this line, and then you do 3 times 3x squared, which is just 9x squared. So if there's a constant in front of something you're taking the derivative of, you just multiply the exponent by the constant instead of just bringing it down. And then another important thing to note is that the derivative of a constant, c, that could be anything, that could be 1, 4, 7, anything, is just 0. Because if you think about a constant as being, if you think about 4 as being 4x to the 0, then the 0 comes down, and you have 0 times 4, x to the negative 1, and then that's just 0, right? So the derivative of any constant is just 0.